Kevin Morgan straightened his blue diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. Through the viewport of the Earth Alliance vessel Intrepid, he could see the massive Galactic Council station. It looked like a metal snowflake with 7 long arms, extending from a central hub. Each arm represented one of the major alien civilizations that made up the Council. "Ready, Officer Morgan?" Captain Lisa Brown asked, her voice calm but her eyes showing the weight of the moment. "As ready as I'll ever be for humanity's first official introduction to the galaxy," Kevin replied. Lisa placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember the briefing. Be polite, be respectful, but give no ground on our key positions. Earth stands as equals, or not at all." The shuttle departed from the Intrepid with Kevin, Lisa, and 3 other diplomatic staff members. Kevin watched as they approached the massive station, his heart pounding. Decades of SETI programs, years of distant communications, months of preparation, and now they would meet alien life, face to face. The shuttle docked with a soft bump. When the doors opened, they were greeted by a reception party of 7 aliens, each from a different council species. They were guided through wide corridors where beings of all shapes moved about. Some had too many limbs, others too few. Some floated, others crawled. The human delegation tried not to stare. Their guides brought them to a large circular chamber. The walls were transparent, showing the stars beyond. 7 raised platforms faced a central speaking area. Each platform held representatives from one of the council races. The insect-like Zeltari caught Kevin's attention immediately. Their chitinous bodies gleamed under the lights, compound eyes reflecting the room in hundreds of tiny images. Ambassador Vexrith, their leader, stepped forward first. "We welcome the humans of Earth to the Galactic Council Station," Vexrith said, his translator converting the clicks and whistles of his natural speech into English. "Your species has shown remarkable progress in a short evolutionary time frame." Kevin stepped onto the central platform and bowed slightly. "On behalf of Earth and all human colonies in our solar system, we thank you for this opportunity. We hope this marks the beginning of mutual cooperation and understanding." The initial discussions went well. The aliens seemed genuinely interested in human culture, though Kevin noted some exchanged looks that seemed dismissive when they discussed Earth's technological achievements. After the formal talks, a reception was held in a garden-like space. Strange plants from a dozen worlds provided splashes of color. Kevin moved between groups, making small talk and building relationships as he'd been trained to do. Ambassador Vexrith approached him as he stood alone, watching a floating plant that changed colors as it bobbed in the air. "Officer Morgan, I find humans fascinating," Vexrith said. "Your species developed in isolation on a high-gravity world with extreme climate variations and dangerous predators. Yet here you stand, ready to join galactic society." Kevin smiled politely. "We're adaptable, Ambassador." "Indeed. This leads me to wonder about your military capabilities." The Zeltari's compound eyes glinted. "How many warships does Earth maintain?" Kevin kept his smile in place. "We maintain adequate defensive forces, Ambassador. Much like all council members, I'm sure." Vexrith made a clicking sound that the translator didn't convert. 2 other Zeltari joined them. "Our scans of your vessel indicate weapon systems at least 2 centuries behind Zeltari technology," one of them said. "Your defenses would be quite inadequate against even a minor galactic power." Captain Lisa Brown appeared at Kevin's side, her posture stiff. "Our defensive capabilities are not up for discussion at this reception," she said firmly. The 3 Zeltari exchanged looks. "We mean no offense," Vexrith said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "We merely find it curious that you would seek equal standing with species whose technology far exceeds your own." Kevin felt heat rising in his neck but kept his diplomatic mask in place. "Technology is only one measure of advancement, Ambassador. The primary measure in practical terms," another Zeltari said dismissively. Vexrith made a gesture that might have been their equivalent of a shrug. "You should know, Officer Morgan, that the Council has been monitoring Earth for quite some time. We find your species' development interesting." The room seemed to grow quieter. Kevin's smile faded. Monitoring? For how long? Oh, several. Of your centuries, Vexrith said casually. We find human conflicts particularly fascinating. Such intensity over minor resources and ideological differences. Lisa's hand moved to Kevin's arm, a warning to stay calm. If you've been watching us for centuries, Kevin said carefully, then you've seen our wars, our suffering. Indeed, your species has a remarkable capacity for violence and an equally remarkable ability to survive it. Vexrith's voice held, something like admiration, but it felt cold and clinical. Kevin felt his diplomatic mask slipping. And you never considered making contact? Offering help? The Zeltari exchanged looks again as if confused by the question. Non-interference is standard protocol for pre-FTL civilizations. We observe only. You observed terrorist attacks? Natural. Disasters? Genocides? Kevin's voice had gone quiet, but nearby conversations stopped as others sensed the tension. The New York incident was particularly studied by our behavioral scientists, Vexrith said, seemingly oblivious to the growing coldness in Kevin's eyes. The collective trauma response provided valuable data on human psychology. The room went completely silent now. Lisa's grip on Kevin's arm tightened, but his focus was entirely on the Zeltari ambassador. You watched people die, Kevin said, each word precise and sharp, and did nothing but take notes. Vexrith's antennae twitched. I fail to understand your emotional response. This is standard scientific protocol across all council races. Kevin stepped closer to the ambassador. Though the Zeltari stood a head taller, something in the humans' stance made the alien take a step back. Then let me be very clear, Ambassador, Kevin said, his voice carrying across the silent room. You've mistaken our patience for weakness. That was your first and final error. He turned to Captain Brown. We're leaving. Officer Morgan, Vexrith called after him, genuine confusion in his alien voice. Have we violated some human diplomatic custom? Kevin paused but didn't turn around. No, Ambassador. You've simply revealed who you really are, and now we know exactly what we're dealing with. As the human delegation walked out, representatives from other species watched with expressions ranging from confusion to alarm. One tall, blue-skinned alien leaned toward another and whispered something that made them both look worried. In the corridor leading back to their shuttle, Lisa finally spoke. That could have gone better. Kevin's face was like stone. Actually, Captain, I think it went exactly as it needed to. We learned something valuable today. And what's that? Kevin looked back at the reception room one last time. They have absolutely no idea what they've just done. 3 months passed with no word from Earth. The Galactic Council Station continued its normal operations, but a sense of unease spread through the diplomatic corridors. In the Zeltari section, Ambassador Vexrith sat in his private chamber, reviewing reports. Still nothing? He asked his aide. No, Ambassador. All attempts at communication have been ignored. The aide's antennae twitched nervously. The humans have withdrawn to their solar system and strengthened patrols at its edges. Vexrith made a dismissive gesture. They will return when they realize the benefits of council membership outweigh their emotional response. Humans are known to be practical when their interests are at stake. In another section of the station, representatives from the other 6 council races met privately. The Zeltari have made a serious mistake, said Thala, the blue-skinned Aurelian diplomat. I warned them that humans respond differently to perceived disrespect. You give these primates too much credit, a reptilian Dravek representative hissed. They are centuries behind us technologically. What can they possibly do? Thala's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of concern among her people. That is precisely the thinking that worries me. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, on Earth, a very different meeting was taking place. In a room filled with screens and holographic displays, 4 humans sat around a circular table. Colonel Alan Wright, his gray hair cut short against his dark skin, pointed to a display showing the known territories of the Galactic Council races. The Zeltari are the weak link, he said. Their central network hub controls not just their homeworld, but their entire defense grid. It's complex but not impenetrable. Diane Powell nodded. The NASA engineer tucked a strand of red hair behind her ear as she studied the schematics. Their system architecture has similarities to our own quantum networks. Different tech base, similar design philosophy. We can work with that. The real challenge is getting in without being detected, said Dr. Patrick Hernandez, his fingers dancing over a tablet. The AI specialist looked tired, dark circles under his eyes after weeks of non-stop work. Their cybersecurity is advanced, but they've never faced a serious attack. No system is perfect if it's never been tested. Grace Martinez, a former special operations soldier who now headed Earth's cyber warfare division, smiled slightly. While our diplomatic team was shaking hands, we were mapping their networks. The reception gave us access to their central systems through their own communication protocols. Alan looked at each of them. Protocol Nemesis is ready then? They all nodded. Good, Alan said. The council thinks we're sulking. They think we'll come crawling back because we need them more than they need us. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Back on the Galactic Council station, a junior Zeltari analyst named Krytax rushed into Ambassador Vexrith's office. Ambassador, I've detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the human solar system, Krytax said, mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. Vexrith looked up from his work. Explain. There have been brief power spikes consistent with quantum communication relays being activated and then immediately going silent, and our long-range sensors show increased activity around their outer planets. Military preparations? Vexrith asked, his tone making it clear he found the idea amusing. Unclear, Ambassador. But there's something else. We've detected encrypted transmissions between Earth and their colonies on Mars and Europa. The encryption is unusual. We can't break it. A different aide entered the room. Ambassador, the council requests your presence. The human situation is being discussed. Vexrith rose. Tell Krytax to continue monitoring, but I suspect this is nothing more than human posturing. Their emotional response will fade as reason prevails. After the ambassador left, Krytax returned to his monitoring station. On his screen, another burst of activity appeared at the edge of the solar system, then vanished as quickly as it had come. In the Central Council chamber, representatives from all 7 major species gathered. The massive room, designed to emphasize the power and unity of the Council, now seemed tense and divided. The humans have had sufficient time to process their cultural misunderstanding, the Dravak representative said. Their continued silence is becoming problematic. Thala of the Aurelians raised a 4-fingered hand. I propose we send a neutral delegation to Earth. The original contact was mishandled. Vexrith's compound eyes glittered under the chamber's lights. The Zeltari delegation did nothing improper. We shared scientific truth with the humans. Their reaction was emotional and irrational. Their reaction was cultural, Thala countered. Not every species views scientific observation the same way. To humans, your watching their suffering without intervention was morally reprehensible. Morality is subjective, Vexrith responded. Galactic standards are clear. A representative of the crystalline Shindi, who rarely spoke at council meetings, chimed in with a melodic voice. The humans have been building something. Our deep space sensors have detected construction at the edges of their system. What kind of construction? The Dravak asked. Unknown, but the energy signatures are concerning. Vexrith made a dismissive gesture. Humans lack the technological capability to create anything that should concern the Council. They will return to negotiations when they realize their isolation is self-defeating. After the Council meeting adjourned, Thala approached Vexrith privately. Ambassador, I urge caution. My people have studied human history more thoroughly than most. They evolved on a world that tried to kill them daily. Their entire existence has been a fight for survival. All species fight for survival, Vexrith replied. Not like humans, Thala said quietly. When most of us were developing philosophy, they were inventing better ways to kill each other. They unified their planet not through enlightenment, but through the fear of mutual destruction. Do not mistake their youth for weakness. Back on Earth in the mountain facility, Alan and Diane stood alone in front of a wall of monitors showing simulations of their plan. 3 more days until we're ready, Diane said. Every test has succeeded. The Zeltari won't know what hit them. Alan nodded. They think because we're younger and less advanced, we're also less dangerous. Diane turned to him, her face illuminated by the blue light of the screens. They forgot that cornered animals fight the hardest, and we've been cornered our entire existence. Outside, snow fell on the mountains, covering the world in silence as humanity prepared its answer to the stars. On the Zeltari homeworld, the Festival of Enlightenment was in full swing. The planet's 3 moons hung in the sky like purple, blue, and white eyes watching over the celebration. In the capital city of Vexka, millions of Zeltari gathered in the streets. Their chitinous bodies reflected the colorful lights that decorated every building. The sound of their clicking mandibles created a constant background noise that rose and fell like waves. In the central command tower, General Zixerol watched the celebrations from his office window. As head of the Zeltari Defense Force, he rarely took time off, even for the most important festival of the year. A soft chime sounded from his computer terminal. He turned and tapped the screen. Report. Sir, we're detecting a minor fluctuation in the defense network, said a young officer. Probably just festival-related power surges. Running diagnostics now. Keep me informed, Zixerol said. He turned back to the window, watching fireworks explode over the city. The terminal chimed again, more urgently this time. Sir, the officer's voice had risen in pitch. Defense platforms 6 through 29 are showing anomalous behavior. Weapons systems are powering up without authorization. Zixerol's antennae stiffened. Override. Attempting override. Failed. Sir, I'm locked out. Across the Zeltari system, orbital defense platforms, automated weapon stations, and military bases all reported the same issue. Systems were activating on their own, and no one could stop them. In the Grand Hall of the Military Council, alarms began to sound. Officers rushed to terminals as reports flooded in from across Zeltari space. All weapons systems are active, reported a senior commander, her voice tight with tension. And they're targeting our own installations, ships, bases, command centers. The Supreme Commander slammed a clawed hand on the table. How is this possible? Our systems are secure. Unknown, Commander. But it's happening everywhere, all at once. On the Galactic Council station, similar chaos erupted. Representatives rushed to communication terminals as reports came in from their homeworlds. Defense systems across 7 species were behaving erratically, locking onto their own military targets. In the emergency session chamber, Council member Drax of the Aurelians faced the Zeltari ambassador. What have you done, Vexrith? He demanded. Your provocation of the humans has brought this upon us. That is absurd, Vexrith responded, though his mandibles clicked nervously. Humans lack the capability to affect our systems. This must be a technical malfunction. At that moment, every screen on the station flickered. The faces of worried aliens were replaced by a single human face. Kevin Morgan, the diplomatic officer who had walked out 3 months ago. Greetings, members of the Galactic Council, Kevin said, his voice calm and his expression neutral. This is a formal response to our previous diplomatic exchange. The room fell silent as everyone stared at the screens. As you can now see, your military systems are temporarily under our control, Kevin continued. Every defense platform, every automated weapon, every targeting system. We could at this moment use your own weapons against you. Vexrith's compound eyes reflected the image of the human's face. Impossible, he whispered. This is a demonstration only, Kevin said. No harm will come to anyone. Your systems will be released in exactly 1 hour with no permanent damage. Consider this a formal response to your provocations and a request to reopen diplomatic channels, this time with mutual respect. The screen went blank for a moment, then returned to its normal display. The chamber erupted in shouts and demands. Back on Earth in the underground facility in Colorado, the team watched the chaos they had unleashed. Monitors showed feed from hidden cameras on the council station and key locations across Zeltari, space. It worked, Diane said, her voice filled with wonder. It actually worked. Dr. Hernandez nodded, typing rapidly on his keyboard. The virus is behaving exactly as designed. All systems under control, no defensive measures able to counter it. On a large central screen, they could see Kevin Morgan in a broadcast studio, reading from a prepared statement, the same message being transmitted across Galactic Council space. How did you pull this off? Alan asked, turning to Grace and her team of cyber specialists. Grace smiled. We reversed engineered their tech from the data we gathered during the diplomatic mission, found weaknesses in their network architecture they never thought to protect. They're advanced, but they've never faced a serious cyber threat before. No reason to build defenses against something that's never happened. And the virus deployment? Alan asked. That was the tricky part, Grace admitted. We hid dormant code in the communication protocols during the mission. Then we used their own trade networks to spread it. They've been picking up our viruses in their routine data exchanges for months. The Zeltari were particularly easy. They love collecting Earth cultural data. Every time they downloaded human music or art, they got a little piece of our surprise. Another screen, they could see the Zeltari military high command frantically trying to regain control of their systems. They're attempting to isolate their networks, Dr. Hernandez reported. Too late, we're already inside every system. Alan watched the screens with a grim expression. And Phase 2? Ready when you give the word, Grace said. But this should be enough to bring them to the table. We've proven our point. Have we? Alan asked. They've been watching us for centuries, studying us like lab rats. They need to understand that we're not just clever animals. We're the apex predators of our world for a reason. In the council chamber, Vexrith faced the fury of the other representatives. You assured us the humans were primitive, the Dravak representative hissed. You said they posed no threat. Vexrith's mandibles clicked rapidly. I did not believe they could achieve this level of technological interference. Thala of the Aurelians stepped forward. I warned you. Their history is one of constant adaptation and warfare. You judge them by their age, not their capabilities. What do they want? Asked another representative. Respect, Thala said simply. What every emerging species deserves but rarely receives from this council. As the hour passed, true to Kevin's word, all systems returned to normal. No weapons had fired, no damage had been done, except to the pride and confidence of the Galactic Council. In his private chamber, Vexrith received a direct communication from the Zeltari High Command. This humiliation will not stand, the Supreme Commander said. Prepare a military response immediately. But sir, Vexrith protested, they've shown capabilities we didn't know they possessed. Perhaps we should consider reopening diplomatic. They are primitives who got lucky with a computer trick. The commander cut him off. They will learn what it means to challenge the might of the Galactic Council. Prepare the fleet. As the communication ended, Vexrith stared at the blank screen. For the first time in his long career, he felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. The great warships of the Galactic Council moved through space like predators. Sleek and deadly, they carried the most advanced weapon systems of 7 ancient civilizations. At the front of this armada flew the Zeltari flagship, Inevitable, Victory, commanded by Fleet Commander Trazek. On the bridge, Trazek studied the tactical display showing their approach to the human solar system. 120 warships formed the punitive fleet. It was the largest military force assembled in over 2 centuries. Status report, Trazek demanded. We are approaching the outer boundary of the Sol system, Commander, his second-in-command reported. No sign of human vessels or defensive systems, yet. Trazek's compound eyes reflected the starlight from the view screen. Maintain alert status. The humans have proven tricky. We will not underestimate them again. The fleet passed the dwarf planet Pluto without incident. Trazek had expected some form of defense at the system's edge, but they encountered nothing. No ships, no stations, No automated defenses. Perhaps they exhausted their capabilities with their cyber attack, suggested an officer. Or perhaps they're simply hiding, Trazek replied. Continue scanning all frequencies. Proceed with caution. As the alien armada moved deeper into the solar system, tension grew on the bridge of the inevitable victory. They passed Neptune, then Uranus, still meeting. No resistance, this is wrong, Trazek said quietly. They know we're coming. Where are their defenses? On Earth, in the Mountain Command Center, Admiral Olivia Carter watched the approaching fleet on a large holographic display. Her silver-streaked black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform bore the patches of Earth Alliance Defense Force. They've passed Uranus, reported a young officer. Still following the exact course we predicted. Olivia nodded. Beside her stood Commander Sam Richards, her executive officer. Are all units in position? She asked him. Yes, Admiral. Operation Hornet's Nest is ready. All stealth platforms are powered down and waiting. The asteroid belt units are in place. Olivia's eyes never left the display. And the Defiance? Hidden in Saturn's rings as planned. Captain Perry reports all systems ready. Good, Olivia said. Now we wait for them to reach the killing zone. In the Galactic Council fleet, Trazek was growing increasingly uneasy. They had now passed Saturn, and still there was no sign of human defenses. Could our intelligence be wrong? He asked his tactical officer. Do they not have the military capabilities we believed? Our intelligence is solid, Commander. The humans have a substantial fleet, though smaller and less advanced than ours. They should be defending their homeworld. Unless they've abandoned it, suggested another officer. Perhaps they evacuated when they detected our approach. Trazek shook his head. Impossible. Their colonies on Mars and Europa are not developed enough to support Earth's population. No, they're here somewhere. Keep scanning. As the alien fleet approached the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Trazek ordered them to slow their advance. The belt provides too many hiding places, he said. Proceed with extreme caution. The massive warships reduced speed as they entered the field of tumbling rocks and ice. Sensors swept the area, looking for signs of human vessels. Nothing detected, Commander, reported the sensor officer. The belt appears clear. Trazek clicked his mandibles nervously. I don't like this. Maintain battle readiness and... An alarm suddenly blared across the bridge. Energy spike, shouted the sensor officer. Multiple sources all around us. Trazek leaped to his feet. Battle stations, shields up. But it was already too late. Throughout the asteroid belt, what had appeared to be ordinary space rocks suddenly changed. Hundreds of them split open, revealing hidden weapon platforms. From within hollowed-out asteroids, small human attack craft emerged like angry insects from a disturbed nest. It's a trap, Trazek shouted. Evasive maneuvers. The space around the alien fleet erupted with weapons fire. Laser beams and missile trails crisscrossed the void. Several Zeltari ships at the edge of the formation were hit immediately, their shields flaring bright blue before failing. On the bridge of the Earth Alliance command ship Defiance, now emerging from its hiding place in Saturn's rings, Captain Ethan Perry watched the battle unfold. All units engage according to plan, he ordered. Focus fire on their command ships. The human vessels were smaller than their alien counterparts, but moved with incredible speed and precision. They darted between the asteroids, using the natural cover to launch attacks and then disappear again. In the Colorado Command Center, Admiral Carter watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. They expected us to fight like them, she observed to Commander Richards. That was never going to happen. Classic guerrilla tactics, Richards agreed. They brought a conventional fleet to an unconventional fight. On the display, they watched as thousands of tiny dots suddenly appeared throughout the asteroid belt, space mines that had been disguised as ordinary debris, now activating all at once. In the heart of the battle, Trazek fought to regain control of the situation. 3 of his largest ships were already crippled, their engines dead, weapons offline. Where are they coming from? He demanded. How many ships do they have? Unknown, Commander, his tactical officer replied, voice tight with stress. They're using some kind of stealth technology. We can't get accurate readings. Another explosion rocked the flagship as a human missile found its mark. Shields at 60%, reported an officer. We're taking damage on decks 5 through 9. Trazek stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The carefully organized formation of his fleet had dissolved into chaos. His ships were firing at shadows while the humans struck with precision from all directions. This is impossible, he whispered. They're primitives. How could they do this? The battle raged for another hour. The alien fleet, despite its superior technology and firepower, found itself unable to effectively target the smaller, faster human ships. The asteroid belt, which should have been a minor navigational challenge, had become a death trap. Finally, Trazek made the hardest decision of his career. Signal the fleet, he ordered, his voice hollow. We are withdrawing. Commander, his second-in-command questioned. The Supreme Command ordered us to die uselessly? Trazek snapped. We've lost 27 ships already. We cannot win this battle as it stands. The retreat signal went out, and the battered alien fleet began to pull back. The human forces allowed them to leave, not pursuing beyond the asteroid belt. As the defeated armada limped away from the solar system, Trazek received a direct communication from Earth. On his screen appeared the face of Admiral Olivia Carter. This is Admiral Carter of the Earth Alliance Defense Force, she said, her expression stern but not triumphant. Return to your council. Tell them this was self-defense. Tell them we're still open to peaceful relations. She paused, her eyes hardening slightly. But make sure they understand. The next provocation will not receive such a merciful response. The communication ended, leaving Trazek staring at a blank screen. Around him, his damaged bridge sparked and smoked. The proud commander of the HFY Galactic Council fleet had just one thought. What kind of hell had these humans emerged from to fight with such calculated fury? 6 months after the battle in the asteroid belt, a new Galactic Council delegation approached Earth's orbital diplomatic station. The station, named Unity, hung in space like a silver wheel, rotating slowly to create artificial gravity for its inhabitants. 3 alien ships moved carefully toward the docking bays. They were not warships, but diplomatic vessels, their hulls decorated with the symbols of peace recognized across the galaxy. The lead ship belonged to the Aurelians, the blue-skinned race whose representative Thala had warned the Council about underestimating humans. Inside the station's main conference room, Kevin Morgan adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform. Now, bearing the title of Earth's ambassador to galactic affairs, he had spent months preparing for this moment. Nervous? Asked Grace Martinez, who stood beside him. After her role in developing the cyber weapons that had shocked the Council, she had been appointed as Earth's Chief of Security for Interstellar Relations. A little, Kevin admitted. It's not every day you negotiate humanity's place in the galaxy. Just remember, Grace said with a slight smile, we're negotiating from strength now, not as supplicants. The doors slid open, and the alien delegation entered. 7 representatives, one from each major council species, walked in a formal procession. Kevin noted immediately that the Zeltari representative was much younger and less decorated than Ambassador Vexrith had been, clearly a demotion for their race after the diplomatic disaster. The Aurelian representative, Thala, led the group. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she approached Kevin and bowed slightly. Ambassador Morgan, she said, her translator converting her musical language to English. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Kevin returned the bow. On behalf of Earth and its colonies, I welcome you to Unity Station. Please, be seated. The delegates took their places around the large, circular table. Kevin noticed how differently they behaved compared to the first meeting. Gone was the condescension, the barely hidden contempt. Now they watched him with careful attention, some with obvious wariness. We come with a formal apology, Thala began, placing a crystal data device on the table. The Council regrets the misunderstandings that led to our current situation. We wish to make amends and establish peaceful relations with humanity. Kevin picked up the crystal, appearing to study it, though he had already been briefed on its contents. I appreciate the sentiment, Representative Thala. Earth is also committed to peace. The Zeltari representative shifted uncomfortably. My government wishes to extend particular apologies for our role in the misunderstanding. Kevin nodded but said nothing, letting the moment stretch into uncomfortable silence. The younger Zeltari's antennae twitched nervously. Finally, Thala spoke again. The Council has reconsidered its original position. We are prepared to offer Earth full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges. No probationary period will be required. There were murmurs of agreement from the other representatives. Kevin raised an eyebrow. That's quite a change from your previous offer, he observed. May I ask what prompted this generosity? The delegates exchanged glances. A reptilian Dravak cleared his throat. Your species has proven itself. Kevin leaned forward slightly. Proven ourselves how exactly? By defending our solar system? By showing we're not as primitive as you assumed? By demonstrating that you are a force to be reckoned with, Thala said directly. The Council respects strength. I see. Kevin's voice was cool. So if we had been truly defenseless, would we be having this conversation? Would we deserve respect then? The aliens shifted uncomfortably. None would meet his eyes. That's what I thought, Kevin said softly. He stood up and walked to the large viewport that showed Earth spinning below them, blue and green and beautiful. Before we proceed, I need to understand something. What changed your minds about us? Really? Thala stood and joined him at the window. For a moment, they both looked at Earth in silence. We studied your history, she said finally. You evolved on what we would classify as a death world. Your gravity is crushing by most standards. Your climate shifts wildly. Your planet teems with diseases and predators. When most species in the galaxy were developing philosophy and art, your ancestors were still fighting daily for basic survival. She turned to face Kevin. Your creativity under pressure is unmatched. Your technological development, while young, has progressed at a rate that frankly terrifies some council members. And your capacity to unify against external threats. She paused. We realized that making an enemy of humanity would be our civilization's greatest mistake. Kevin nodded slowly and returned to the table. I appreciate your honesty, Representative Thala. Earth is prepared to join the Council, but we have conditions. He activated a holographic display showing a series of treaty points. First, Earth maintains complete sovereignty over its solar system. Second, all surveillance of Earth by Council races ends immediately. Third, we want access to educational and technological exchange programs. Equal access, not the limited version previously offered. The delegates reviewed the demands, conferring quietly among themselves. After a few minutes, Thala nodded. These terms are acceptable. Is there anything else? Just one thing, Kevin said. A promise. The next time you encounter a young species struggling to find its place in the galaxy, remember this moment. Offer them the respect you now offer us, not because you fear them, but because it's right. Hours later, after the formal signing of the treaty, Kevin and Grace stood alone in the observation lounge watching the alien ships depart. Do you think they really understand us now? Grace asked. Kevin looked out at the stars visible through the station's viewport. They understand enough to fear us. Maybe in time, they'll understand enough to truly respect us. But they'll never fully comprehend what makes us different. Which is? Grace asked. That we created our own hell on Earth for millennia, Kevin said softly. We fought each other. We suffered. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once. We know exactly what it feels like to live in fear and pain, and we'll do absolutely anything to ensure we never go back there again. He turned to Grace, his expression serious. The galaxy thinks we're dangerous because we're good at fighting. But that's not it at all. We're dangerous because we understand suffering intimately, and we'll move heaven and earth to prevent it, for ourselves and eventually for others too. Grace nodded slowly. So what now? Kevin smiled slightly. Now we take our place among the stars. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as survivors who've been through hell and come out stronger. And we make sure the rest of the galaxy understands one simple truth. Which is? That Earth's special hell isn't a place you visit, Kevin said. It's a place we carry with us. And anyone who provokes us gets a one-way ticket to experience it firsthand. As they spoke, across the vast reaches of space, the news spread from world to world. A new species had joined the Galactic Council. A young, dangerous, fascinating species called humans. And the wise learned quickly to treat them with respect.